Take control of your growing company's finances with Bill Spend and Expense, the free-to-use spend management software powered by the Bill Divvy Corporate Card. With credit lines from $50,000 to $5 million, Bill Spend and Expense is here to help you thrive. Say goodbye to manual expense reports and juggling multiple cards, and say hello to saving time and eliminating wasteful spend. Try Bill Spend and Expense today at bill.com/promo500 and get $500. Terms and conditions apply. Advertised credit ranges are not guaranteed and are determined at approval. Card issued by Cross River Bank. Member FDIC.
Man, that sunset is gorgeous.
Grill, patio, sunset. Hard to get better than that. Unless you're browsing Carvana's inventory while you soak it all in.
Oh, burger time.
So sit back, get comfortable. Carvana's got thousands of cars under $20,000 just waiting for you.
I could stay here forever.
Carvana, where car buying meets comfort, meets convenience. Download the app or visit Carvana.com today.
In the early hours of July 5th, 1969, a phone call to the police in Blue Rock Springs, California, would connect two double murders and begin the search for one of the most notorious serial killers of all time. The saga of the police's search for a murderer who claimed to have at least 37 victims in the California Bay Area has spawned numerous books, movies, and articles. To this very day, the case is still unsolved, and theories of new suspects and evidence still reach the headlines of U.S. newspapers. With 5 official murders attributed to his name, the killer cemented himself into the American subconscious as the archetype for serial killers in the media for years to come. Captivating the public's imagination with his lurid cat-and-mouse correspondence with the local newspapers and authorities, and his mysterious cryptograms. This case file joined the theorists as they rethink their astrological signs in the Zodiac Murders.
Welcome to Alien Theorist Theorizing Case File 151, the Zodiac Killer. I'm Braden.
I'm Zo.
I'm Dan.
And I'm Andrew.
Oh, look at that guy. Holy smokes.
Looking sharp.
Yeah, looking sharp in Meteor Studios there. Doesn't happen very often.
I love it when you're Andrew's in studio.
It's easier, right?
Yeah.
It's just, I wish you were all in studio. It would be even easier, but take one Skype feed out of my equation and I'm happy.
Maybe one day.
One day.
We've got, it's, interesting case file up today, but boys, did you see that fish I caught today that I posted? Woo!
Wow. What a specimen of a scaly fish.
Manfish.
It's a fish. It's a big fish.
What was that? Would you get a Chinook?
Yeah, Chinook salmon. Went fishing, caught my first ocean salmon. My fucking arms hurt and my
Excuse
head
me,
hurt
I think
from,
you mean salmon.
Salmon. And I think they call it actually, it's a king salmon south of the border, not a Chinook.
And you didn't run into old Greg?
No old Greg,
That's kinda
no UFOs.
No, what are you doing in my
I
water,
did see some dolphins and I saw some humpback whales.
That's pretty
Mermaids?
dope.
Are you fucking serious?
Yeah.
Why are you sending pictures of a bunk-ass fish when you could have sent us pictures of whales and dolphins?
Well, the video of the whales didn't really turn
That's
they
still-
weren't that far, but my phone makes it look like they're far away.
It would have
but
been way better than your fucking lunch. I would have been way
And
happy to see
also-
that shit.
pulled up a red snapper. I didn't even know we have those. Those
Yep.
things look fucking fake as hell. They don't even look like real fish. It came up as is that a magic carp?
Ogo Pogo's real. Gyarados confirmed.
Gyarados. There you
Gyarados
go.
confirmed.
Get that water stone, baby.
Last time I went fishing, I got stabbed by the red snapper spine and my hand went numb.
Oh,
Ouch.
yeah, that's as I went to grab it, the guy was like, "Don't touch it. You get hurt." I was like, "Okay."
I was stupid enough. I tried to get off my hook myself and it stabbed me right in the hand.
Let's get into some mysterious Zodiac killer. What's this guy all about?
Long requested case file. Don't do a lot of true crime, but sometimes one comes up where people keep asking, and
Sometimes you gotta
decide to go down the hole.
give the people what they want.
Yeah. Dan's on bottle 1 of wine, so
Me and Dan are not as big as true crime fans as Braden and Andrew, but I still like to dive down a little bit every once in a
Yeah,
while.
well, we're doing our best. I did my best, so it's,
no.
yeah, it's an interesting case. So
Dan's been washing down fucking all that salt with wine for a while now, so it's gonna be rough.
It's just like a whole bottle of wine to kind of just suppress my entire disgust of true crime.
Fucking Simpsons, true crime.
True crime right below.
I spent a fair amount of time researching all of this shit. So
You did. There's a lot of notes.
Just to shoot holes in it, I'm sure.
That's part of it.
I have a really good theory at the end, which I think it's a head scratcher. So
spoiler alert, Ted Cruz.
Ted Cruz is a serial killer.
I think
Oh,
there's like 50%
we're not
of
supposed to do
people who
that. Damn it! I forgot we're not supposed to
No
do the spoilers at
spoilers.
the beginning.
I mean, how
No
old
surprises.
he would have been? Like 10 years old? Not even when this happened. Probably like 2. So
No, this is
plausible.
what. Anyways, let's get to
How
Have you
old's Ted
seen
Cruz?
Have you seen his birth certificate?
Yeah.
Touche. Good point.
Right? No, I haven't.
So the Zodiac killer is a serial killer who has claimed to have committed up to somewhere around 37 murders, according to letters and sent to newspapers, and also like correspondence throughout like the 1960s into the 1970s, late 1960 into 1970. From the investigations, official investigations and files, they have confirmed or they agree that the confirmed murders, chalked up to the Zodiac killer are 7 confirmed victims and 2 of those which actually survived. So the first official case is what they call the Lake Herman Road murders. And the victims here were David Arthur Faraday, age 17, and Betty Lou Jensen, age 16. And both of them were shot and killed on December 20th, 1968.
So both of them were on their first date.
Ooh.
Decided to take Faraday's mom's Rambler, pull off onto a gravel road to a place which was called Lover's Lane. So obviously, we got a 17-year-old, and I forgot how old the other one is, but
16.
Lover's Lane, there's going to be a ton of over the pants HJ type stuff going down.
Heavy petting.
Some heavy petting.
Heavy petting.
Second base, maybe.
Over
First
the pants,
half,
for the
maybe.
most part. We know that. We've all been there. Shortly after 11 p.m., their bodies were discovered by Stella Borgs, who live nearby. Now, it was tough because back then we didn't really have much for forensics, right? Like back in the fucking 60s, you basically caught the guy standing there with a fucking gun and a pile of blood, and you're like, that's him. He did it.
That's
and if
that
he wasn't
guy.
That's the murderer.
there, if he wasn't there, you didn't catch him. So basically,
No, that's probably him.
yeah, we don't know for sure. But so from, much to Dan's chagrin, I'm going to pull from Robert Graysmith's book, what he kind of formulated with what he had as far as scene photos and evidence. Another car pulled into the turnout prior to 11 p.m., parked beside the couple. The second car, whoever was driving it, was able to coax the couple out of their fucking cars and proceeded to shoot them, obviously. Faraday got the worst of it. He got shot in the back of the head.
Boom.
Kill shot right away. And then it looks like Jensen got shot 5 times in the back trying to flee. They were both shot with .22 caliber weapon with Western ammo.
That's not a big round.
No,
Like,
it's
that's not
small.
Oh, that's ruthless though, man. That's like
Yeah.
Ricochet
That's-
City.
Yeah, that's bone rattling.
Oof. They get
Was it
shot in the head with
Western? Was it the same ammo? The Western Super X? Was that the one?
You know what? Actually, Dan, it says Western, so I'm gonna go ahead and think it's the stuff that they use in Tombstone and at the showdown at the OK
You're my
Corral.
Huckleberry.
When the clock struck fucking 12, they drew, shot each other, quick and the dead. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
Same stuff Wyatt Earp uses. Doc Holliday,
Yeah.
right? But yeah, you're right.
I
It's
like
the
it.
Western ammo.
So after this murder, that's 1968 into 1969. You have the Blue Rock Springs murder, which is Michael Renault Majo, age 19, and Darlene Elizabeth Farron, age 22, who were both shot July 4th, 1969, the following year after this. Majo actually survived this attack, but Farron was pronounced dead on arrival to the Kaiser Foundation Hospital.
So interesting thing about this murder is that it was actually only 4 miles away from the Lake Herman Road murder.
We got close proximity.
So for
between
Canadian
murders.
friends, 6.4 kilometers.
Perfect. Thank you.
No problem. So while the couple sat in Farron's car, a second car drove up into the lot and parked alongside them. But like within minutes, decided to immediately turn around and speed away. Car came back 10 minutes later. The driver of the second car exited the vehicle, approached the passenger side door where Farron was sitting, carrying a flashlight and a 9mm Luger. The killer then shone the light right into Farron and Majo's eyes and began shooting them. He fired 5 times. Both victims were hit. Several bullets passed through Majo and struck Farron. The killer then walked away, and Majo, screwing up like the cardinal rule here. Everybody knows.
Play dead.
Play fucking dead.
Play dead.
Just fucking muffle. Just whatever you do, just pause on that shit. Fainting goat. Lets out kind of some type of like whimper or sigh, I'd imagine. And our friend here decided to turn around.
Hey, he's not my friend.
Not my buddy, guy.
You're not
He's
my buddy
my
friend. So he came back and shot them both twice more.
Just to finish it off.
Yes.
So now this is the first time that we get a link between the two murders.
Well,
right?
I look
correct.
at this right away, and I'm looking at it, and I'm thinking, like, when I look at these two, and I'm thinking, I'm like, okay, it's someone targeting like people,
Fornicators.
couples.
Fornicators.
Right? Sinners.
So
But-
Jason Voorhees is definitely on the list.
So right after this murder took place, well, let's not say right after. Right out, they say within 2 minutes of pronouncing Farron dead, there was a phone call made to the Vallejo Police Department. A random caller says, "I want to report." This is like verbatim what he said. "I want to report a murder."
Double murder.
Double murder.
I got what it says right here. It says, "I want to report a murder. If you will go 1 mile east of the Columbus Parkway, you will find kids in a brown car. They were shot with a 9mm Luger. I also killed those kids last year. Goodbye."
Right. And in this case, there was only, how do you pronounce it? Majo?
Majo.
So
Yeah.
one survivor, first survivor, right?
Yeah. Which is weird because we're going to come back to this too. It seems like he took a little bit more. I don't know maybe he used a little bit more effort when he was going after the female counterparts. Because, you know what I mean? Like out of these situations, the only survivors that we have were the males in these groups.
Yeah.
So anyways.
But okay, here's the thing. This is a connection that I thought of this, like these first two murders. And then I know we're going to get into that first letter, but when I saw that, put those all together, I'm like, this kind of sounds like that letter reads like some weird thing one of those like incel people would write. And now you have someone targeting like lovers' lanes and like shooting up and, maybe not focusing more on shooting the women than the men. To me,
the weird thing that pops up to me too is like with that phone call, it's kind of like the fucking the original murders, the Farron and Farron and Jensen, I think not Farron and Jensen. The couple that were murdered at Lake Herman.
Jensen and Faraday.
Yeah, Faraday and Jensen. You know what I mean? It's like at the end of this fucking call, it's a complete afterthought. And they're like, "Oh yeah, before I forget, I killed the other people too."
Got them too.
Like just casually, like, "Yeah, I killed those other kids too."
So it's basically confirmed that this call would have been from the killer because he knew information that only the police would know.
Well, nobody knew this information at this time.
The public didn't know yet.
No, not even the police. Like this is the 911 call. He made his own 911 call.
But wasn't.
So what I'm saying is that's not in dispute. That's it. Like that is whoever called is the killer.
100%
of at least the Blue Rock Springs
people.
murder.
Yeah.
Right. But the first people to find the body wasn't the police. There was like another group of teenagers. And they're the ones who end up calling the cops.
Yeah. But before anyone even gets there, the 911 call was made.
So you have this, then shortly after, this is when you start getting the letters, correct? So after July, it's about August?
Yeah.
A month later?
August 1.
So the August 1st is when you start. This is part of the kind of the Zodiac mythology or whatever you want to call it. The fascinations begin.
It's when shit gets weird.
Yeah. So you start getting letters, right?
Yeah.
And it's technically 3 letters, but they're all the same letters sent to the Times Herald, the San Francisco Chronicle, and the San Francisco Examiner.
Yes.
And these letters took credit for the shootings that happened at Lake Herman Road and the Blue Rock Springs murder.
Yeah, he goes into detail. Basically says, "Dear editor, this is the murderer of the two teenagers last Christmas." Adds spices it up with an extra S there. "At Lake Herman, and the girl on the 4th of July. To prove I killed them, I shall state some of facts which only I and the police know." The writer provided a list of details regarding the two shooters and explained that the symbol formed a coded message that would reveal his identity. The letter ended with a warning. "If you do not print this cipher by the afternoon of August 1st, 1969, I will go on a kill rampage, Fry, spelled F-R-Y, night. I will cruise around all weekend killing people in the night and then move on to kill again until I end up with a dozen people over the weekend." And then he left this, he signed off with a circle with a cross in it, kind of looking like a bullseye.
Yeah, like this. That's like the common symbol of the Zodiac is the circle with the cross through it, representing like the 4 seasons, the equinox, and all that stuff. And that's kind of where the name. Now, did he refer to himself as the Zodiac, or is that something the news came up with Zodiac Killer?
After this, he referred to himself as the Zodiac.
And then, so after the first letter sent, he started referring.
He actually didn't start referring to himself as the Zodiac until another letter was received on August 7th. So about a week after, all the newspapers that received this letter, out of all 3 that received it, only one, the Chronicle,
the Chronicle,
actually published the letter, but they didn't print it on the front page. They actually printed it on the 4th page.
Yeah, they big timed him. That's fucking
the next
awesome.
day's edition.
Big newspaper doesn't play with your shit, buddy.
Right. And the Vallejo police chief, Jack Stilts, actually requested that the writer send a second letter with more facts to actually prove his identity. So none of the stuff that he threatened happened. Just so everybody knows.
In the end, it did not come true.
No. He was happy with the 4th page.
All 3 parts were eventually published. So all 3 letters were eventually published. Right.
And each of the 3 letters contained 1/3 of his first mysterious cipher.
And then the cipher was actually cracked on August 8th, 1969 by Donald and Betty Harden. Now, these were 2 teachers. I'm not entirely sure what they taught. Something tells me it wasn't
high
fucking
school
Cipher
teacher.
101. But you know what I mean? Between everybody else that got sent this, all the intelligence agencies and police force and everything like that, it was 2 fucking high school teachers that cracked it.
Well, they're the killers.
Obviously. So basically,
but to add a little bit of context, like you did, I think this would have been it would have been a type of kind of fun for some people, because you have to imagine that these people who grew up with this stuff or who were reading the newspapers this way, these people grew up with crypto games. They had if you've ever watched A Christmas Story and if you ever watched like the little Orphan Annie rings, decoder rings, all that bullshit, those people grew up with this stuff. So it doesn't surprise me that it took no time at all to snap that.
And think about it too, man. Like, how fucking crazy would that be? You see this shit in the newspaper and like, I think everybody, like, I'm putting down the fucking crossword and I'm cracking this shit.
Yeah, I mean, that's like the ultimate armchair detective. If like that's in the news, you're like, oh, this is a great week for me.
Think about all the amateur researchers on Reddit that would get boners over something like this if it came out now.
Oh, yeah.
They'd be all over it.
They would know where this guy lived.
So anyways,
the next week.
It's fucking cracked.
They cracked everything except 18 letters at the end of the message.
So basically what they pulled from it is
I like killing people because it is so much fun. It is more fun than killing wild game in the forest because man is the most dangerous animal. And there is spelling mistakes, either purposefully or not, decoded in the cipher. So they leave the spelling mistakes in, but pretty much dangerous animal of all to kill. Something gives me the most thrilling experience. It is even better than getting your rocks off with a girl. The best part of it is that when I die, I will be reborn in paradise, and they have killed will become my slaves. I will not give you my name because you will try to slow down or stop my collecting of slaves for my afterlife. Blah, 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 and then it falls off.
Now, I'm wondering if this guy actually knows what it's like to get his rocks off with a girl, because I doubt it.
It doesn't sound...
I feel like this guy has a problem with fornicators and he's going after him.
That was
But something that we're
cringy,
gonna
like reading that is cringy. Like, and that's what I'm saying. In the first two cases, that's why I like that ties together for me because I'm like, ugh. Seems like some incel bullshit.
Something that we're going to come back to is he made mention to be the most dangerous game, which is a book and a movie. The book actually came out in 1924.
It's more of a short story, right? It's not like
more of a short story, which the character Sanger Rainsford must fight for his life while being hunted for sport. After washing ashore on an island, a big game hunter realizes that, or the big game hunter's name is General Zoroff or Zeroff. Does that sound right?
It sounds. We'll go with that.
You're talking about the most
It sounds
dangerous
like a
game,
name.
right? Is that what you're talking
Zoroff.
about?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that right there, it's like, okay, so he's talking about he makes reference to a short story that refers to hunting people. And the main bad guy who hunts people's name starts with a Z.
Zell.
It's a good story.
Yeah,
Interesting.
Man is the most dangerous game.
I don't know. I don't know the name.
I know
We'll
this.
throw it
I know,
back to
I
it.
know this.
I know
guy.
the story though. I mean, I'm sure The Simpsons adapted it at one point, and I watched that.
Nothing better than hunting people.
Yep.
I mean, most dangerous game is a widely read and distributed story. Like a lot of people know that story.
I think they teach in like a lot of like in literature classes and like in high school and in early college. It's like
That
a
whole
book
thing is-
that everyone reads kind of thing.
there's tons of versions of that. Like, that's like it's like, oh, we're coming out here to hunt animals. Yeah, you're the animal.
Yeah.
5-minute
Oh,
head start.
shit. I remember a movie
Go.
like that in the 90s. I'm trying to remember the name of it, but it's badass.
The Pest.
Was it The Pest?
There's a movie, The
John
Pest.
Leguizamo?
Yeah, that is one. Yeah, the pest is one.
Yeah, John Leguizamo. There we go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a bunch of variants on that type of that concept. It's pretty good.
All right. I'm sure there's another murder. What's going on here, guys? What's the
Okay.
next one?
So the next murder that they attribute to the Zodiac killer after the lake is the. Did we talk about you get the Lake Berryessa in Napa County
Yeah.
murders,
where
which
he
is
kicks it up a
Brian
notch.
Calvin Hartnell at age 20 and Cecilia Ann Shepard at age 22. This murder, the victims were stabbed. This took place on September 27th, 1969. And Hartnell, again, the male, survived 8 stab wounds to the back. Shepard died as a result of her injuries on September 29th, 1969. So she was alive when they got to her, but then she ended up dying in the hospital, I believe, later.
So right away, what the report we get is they noticed a man lingering in the shade of some trees. And he kind of like disappeared for a bit. And they were like, well, what the fuck's this weirdo doing? Peeping Tom. Then he suddenly reappeared. And when he reappeared, he was wearing a black executioner type hood with some clip-on glasses on the eye holes. Clip-on glasses. And then it kind of came down with like a bib, like kind of like a bib. And on that, it had this white cross with a circle around it, which kind of sounds a little bit familiar now, doesn't it?
Seems like the symbol.
Doesn't it? So then he approached them, held them at gunpoint, and made them tie each other up with pieces of clothesline. Hartnell, the male, initially believed that this was kind of some type of weird robbery, as the gentleman claimed that he had just escaped from jail. All he wanted was their wallet, their keys, and he's going to take their car and, kick rocks. Once they were both tied up, he drew a knife, like Dan says, and repeatedly stabbed both of them. To prove he was responsible for the stabbing, what we're going to assume here is the Zodiac used a black marker to draw a large circle with the same logo, the same cross on Hartnell's car. And then in there, on this image, he kind of states the dates of the first 2 killings. And then September 27th, 69 by knife, 6:30, and explain what he just did.
So that pulls all the 3 killings all together. So he specifically referenced the dates on which each one of the murders took place. The next murder that you get that is attributed to the Zodiac killer.
He does call in this one as well.
All
Same
right, this
situation.
is when they get the phone calls.
Yes, he calls in at 7:40 p.m. to the Napa Police Department and says, "I want to report a murder. No, a double murder. They are 2 miles north of Park headquarters. They were in a white Volkswagen Carmen Gia. I don't know what the fuck is that, a type of Volkswagen? I don't know.
Volkswagen Carmen Gia.
But two big things about this one is, you know what I mean? As you notice here, obviously because we had a survivor, he was able to kind of explain that he put on this elaborate outfit. So we're starting to see he's got a little bit of a flair for the theatrics. He's spicing it up a little bit. And we also have a boot print.
Ooh.
Which we can get to
The
later.
hard sole boot print.
Hard sole boot print.
Could be a work boot.
Yeah, but what type of work? Do you know what type of work, Zell?
Not-
Specific issue boot.
Sounds like a carpenter to me.
Either he was part of some type of organization or he got it from a thrift store. Who knows? But anyways, go ahead.
So everything at this point, everybody in San Francisco Bay Area is on high alert. You got a serial killer on the loose for the last couple months. And the last official murder that they attributed to the Zodiac killer took place on October 11th, 1969 in Presidio Heights, which is a neighborhood in San Francisco. And the victim was Paul Lee Stein, a taxi driver, age 29. And he was shot and killed, shot in the head, ended up bleeding to death. And this is where we get the, if you look up the Zodiac killer, I'm pretty sure this is where you get the famous artist rendering of witnesses description of what they said, who they said was the murderer that stepped out of that cab.
Yeah. So Stein drove one block past Maple to Cherry Street. The passenger then shot him in the back of the head with a 9mm. He got out, reached into the driver's side of the car, stole his keys, his wallet, and apparently tore away a section of Stein's bloodstained shirt. 3 young witnesses watched the crime progress from a house directly across the street. Now, they didn't actually know or hear a gunshot. They just thought potentially this cabbie was being robbed. Now, here's where we get a big fucking miscommunication and why this is fucking unsolved. So due to confusion during this call, the resulting broadcast to the police units mistakenly described the suspect as a black male. So big mistake, because a patrol car reportedly passed a man who matched the correct description given by fucking Majot and Hartle, but didn't stop him because he was a fucking white male.
So wait, everyone said it's a white guy, and then the dispatcher said it's a black guy.
Yeah, this is 1970. Yeah. And
so we got.
I don't know if it was so much miscommunication as it was
profiling.
Racism, but
yeah.
Now, I'm pretty sure that they didn't really link this murder to the Zodiac killings until October 14th, 1969, where the Chronicle received another letter from the Zodiac, and this one they contained what the police identified as a piece of Paul Stein's shirt tail as proof that the person sending the correspondence was the killer.
Which makes sense, because right away, like this one for me jumps out huge, right? Like the MO, the modus operandi is completely fucking blown for this case. It doesn't make any sense. It does not fit any of the prior murders whatsoever. Like you think you kind of understand where this guy's going. He's going after couples, fornicators.
Well, and then he's getting more and it's more theatric, and the killing, not to say it's getting more intimate, but like shooting someone with a gun and tying them up and stabbing them is a much more like
he didn't
intimate,
shoot Hartnell and the other lady. He just stabbed them.
Yeah, but he's stepping it up. So and then all of a sudden it's like you have a straight up sounds like a straight up robbery.
Well, totally, and then you can understand that's kind of why they were thinking. And then so this one was big, right? Because like Dan said, we've got our first description. Because not only did these 3 teenagers that watched it happen, but the 2 cops that fucking watched the Zodiac or whoever he was stroll by them gave a fucking description of this guy, and that's where we get our best. That's where we get our best police sketch from. But like you look, we also get a bloody fingerprint left behind, right? And you're starting to think like this guy's starting to fit. You know what I mean? Like he's wearing costumes now. He's potentially changed his MO and just being an all around fucking menace. Like he seems like he's turned into like a fucking supervillain. You know what I mean? Goes from like this fucking opportunistic creeper incel to no one's safe now.
So after
why
this murder,
the robbery? That's what I can't get in my head of this.
Why the
one.
robbery?
Why the wobblies?
Why the robbery, friend?
Why the wobblies?
This is the final murder that they have attributed to the Zodiac killer. There are other murders that kind of float around that people have kind of have tenuous connections to the Zodiac killer, claimed in other correspondence and stuff. But the Zodiac killer actually kept up his correspondence to local newspapers. At 2 p.m. on October 20th, 1969, someone actually claiming to be the Zodiac killer called the Oakland Police Department and demanded this was one of the big things about the case,
right?
Made it even more intriguing, and just pretty much like cemented it into like the American psyche, that kind of serial killer thing. They made the demand that two prominent lawyers, F. Lee Bailey and Melvin Belly, appear on AM San Francisco, which was a popular talk show at the time, hosted by one Jim Dunbar. Now, Bailey wasn't available. Apparently, I don't know if
he was quite high profile, from what I understand.
Yeah, he's
famous
like,
defense lawyer.
Yeah. Stupid, I suppose. But Belly did appear on the show, and the host, Jim Dunbar, appealed to the viewers to keep the lines open. So don't call in unless you're the actual serial killer, I guess, is kind of his thing. So someone called in claiming to be the serial killer, which they said several times. I think the call hang up was kind of the pattern. Was it would say a couple things and then
now was he? Do you think he was trying to beat the trace? Is that why he kept hanging up? I don't.
This is
maybe
this is what it is. I don't believe this for a second, because
it's already been disproved. But
yeah, because I was going to say, if we opened the lines and said nobody call unless you're the Zodiac killer, someone would call and be like, "Hey, motherfuckers, I'm the Zodiac killer."
Well, they ended up tracing the call back to
a
you
fucking
motherfuckers
trying to ice skate uphill.
I'm the Zodiac killer.
But one big thing we forgot before,
Blade all along.
Like Dan was saying, after the fucking Stein murder, that letter that he sent in, there was also a part of that saying, "School children make nice targets, and I think I shall wipe out a school bus some morning just to shoot out the front tire and pick off the kiddies as they come bouncing off." And obviously hearing that sent fucking the entire city into a panic.
No kidding.
Right? Like, that's fucking terrifying.
Well, you got a guy that's already claimed to kill all these people, and he has, regardless of what you think, he has people convinced, or the media has people convinced that he is going to kill again. And then you put this in the news.
Scare shit.
It's a weird one for me, because a lot of this case, I'm like, it's a weird position where how much do you put in the papers? Like some of this stuff, like, did you even need to post it, or was that just perpetuating the hysteria?
100%. He got to a point where, like Dan's saying, there's open correspondence with the fucking Zodiac, and it gets to a point where he's like, "Listen, I see people out here with fucking Black Panther buttons and fucking whatever other buttons. I want them to start wearing Zodiac buttons, or I'm gonna start shooting people."
Yeah, it got real weird towards the end there. A couple days later, a couple weeks later, November 8th, 1969, we have what is known as the Pines card. The Zodiac mailed a card with another one of his, at this point now is infamous cryptograms, which consisted of about 340 characters. Now, this cipher has actually never been decoded. No, to the best of my knowledge. The thing that they've said about the cryptograms was they got kind of like progressively more difficult. As one of the theories is that he didn't really think it through, the first one. Like, he didn't think people would be able to crack it like within a day. It was really, that one it seemed pretty simple. And then the rest of them are, some people say that he may have inserted into some of it like just gibberish to kind of throw off people,
a little noise,
end of the first
from translating them.
No one's even finished the first one, because the end of it, it follows the same pattern that they cracked, the end of it's just a fucking bunch of gibberish. Doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, they never cracked the last 18 characters.
Yeah.
So this was the second cipher, and still not.
So like,
still
either
never been
he's
deciphered.
Serving them up a fucking nice little underhand softball here for the first little bit, and then fucking giving them fastballs, or he's just talking shit.
Right. A day later after that one, what was, someone claiming to be the Zodiac mailed what was a 7-page letter stating that this was where you get the two policemen had actually stopped and spoke to him 3 minutes after he had shot Stein.
Which the police do deny. They say that never happened.
Okay.
No one reported talking to him. So he could just be, again, like, that's the problem with this, is we don't even really know. Like, is this guy, some of these murders, did he commit these? Did he kill fucking Stein, or is he just claiming he killed Stein?
Right. They
what I
had
mean?
correspondence with him through until the remainder of 1970. Like, they had, sporadic letters, postcards coming in. And then they said the final letter came through after he had been silent for nearly 3 years. The San Francisco Chronicle received a letter from the Zodiac, which was postmarked January 29th, 1974. And it had some other just ramblings in it. And he had a special praise for The Exorcist, being, quote, the best satirical comedy I have ever seen.
Just a quick movie review.
So this whole time, there's still random fucking, obviously, there's still murders that are going to be taking place. The world's not going to stop just because one guy's killing people. But there are a bunch of fucking uncredited murders. You know what I mean? And during these letters, he does keep a count, saying, let's say, Zodiac fucking 7, SFD, or whatever the fucking...
San Francisco PD.
Yeah.
Not police, fire department, police department. 0, right? So he's keeping this tab going. And then there's reports, like, I remember reading one of this lady who... a car comes up behind her and the guy's flashing his lights. So she pulls over. Huge mistake. Guy comes up and he's like, hey, you know what? I noticed your fucking rear passenger side wheel's loose. Let me tighten it up for you. I'm a nice guy. Tightens it up for her, takes off. She hops in her car, starts driving, and the fucking wheel comes off. Same car turns around, comes back, and it's like, hey, let me take you for a ride. I'll take you to the nearest service station. They blow by a bunch of service stations. She's like, something's fucking wrong. Oh, I forgot to mention that she has a baby with her. She takes her fucking baby, rolls out of the car while it's moving to escape this guy. And then the only thing that ties us to the Zodiac, as she points to the fucking wanted poster with his sketch, being like, that was fucking him.
So she connects it to what other people think the Zodiac killer was.
Exactly. And we got a lot of this stuff going on. And the only other one I want to touch on was the Riverside attack. Have you read about that one, Dan, at all?
Man, that sunset is gorgeous.
Grill, patio, sunset. Hard to get better than that. Unless you're browsing Carvana's inventory while you soak it all in.
Oh, burger time.
So sit back, get comfortable. Carvana's got thousands of cars under $20,000 just waiting for you.
I could stay here forever.
Carvana, where car buying meets comfort, meets convenience. Download the app or visit Carvana.com today.
Man, that sunset is gorgeous.
Grill, patio, sunset. Hard to get better than that. Unless you're browsing Carvana's inventory while you soak it all in.
Oh, burger time.
So sit back, get comfortable. Carvana's got thousands of cars under $20,000 just waiting for you.
I could stay here forever.
Carvana, where car buying meets comfort, meets convenience. Download the app or visit Carvana.com today.
Now the Riverside was
there's
before.
a case open in Napa County. I think there's still one case at least open in Riverside.
Yeah.
If that's when you're...
Yeah. So in 1966, so this is before that, before we know that the Zodiac's actually killing people, right? We got no idea. Sherry Jo Bates, an 18-year-old college student at Riverside Community College. She spent the evening at the campus library studying, finished about 9 p.m. Neighbors reported hearing screaming around 10:30 p.m. Bates was found dead the next day. She had slashes to her carotid artery and her stomach. Kind of interesting situation. They did find her car fucking tampered with, so they think that potentially, you know what I mean, he kind of did the same thing. He went and tampered with her car, said, hey, you know what, I can help you, come take a walk with me, and then did his Zodiac-y thing and slashed her up to bits. But the way this kind of ties into more of the MO is a month later, we started getting fucking letters sent into the Napa Police Department and the newspaper, the Riverside Press Enterprise, whatever that was, of the same thing. But now these were typewritten and they were a little bit more eloquent, right? Like they weren't purposely, or we don't know if they're purposely misspelled. But again, he kind of goes off about, Sherry Jo Bates had to die, did it because of this, this, and this. But so we had same style letters, and they were double stamped like the Zodiac liked to do. And then again, he followed up with a few more and sent them to her dad. And another interesting thing was a janitor ended up fucking uncovering in the library library.
I wasn't gonna say anything. I was gonna.
Library.
I've been
Dude,
fucking trying so
Library.
hard to get rid of that fucking library shit, but
Library.
yeah. So, anyways, he found a hand carved poem in one of these desks in the library.
Got it.
You
And
say biblioteca if you want. That's fine.
Bibliotech.
Un
stilo.
Days Bonanza, which ended one of the editors for the San Francisco Chronicle ended up tracking this case down. Somebody sent him letters to it, and he came down to Napa with the why is the word escaping me? The fucking guy who analyzes writing, not a stenographer, handwriting specialist, whatever. I'm sure there's a fancy word for it. And he actually went through the carvings, and it matched the Zodiac's R's and H's, and then he ended up saying like this. I believe that this was written by the Zodiac.
Oh, so he claims that the handwriting matches stuff sent in would be letters from in the future from this time. They say that he thinks that they would match.
Yes,
giving credence to maybe the Zodiac killer
was killing before
he
1968.
Yeah,
68,
66 is when
and
this
maybe
happened.
giving credence because in one of the letters didn't he say he claimed to have killed 37 people or something?
Yeah, right.
So
yeah, but it doesn't necessarily mean it's those ones. But yeah, that is one of the ones I know I've seen in a couple other ones where people have tried to tie that one to that, or they feel like that one is also should be lumped in with the Zodiac killings as well.
Yeah, so it just maybe he did kill more, but they only attribute these 4 series of murders or attempted murders on the 4 events that we talked about.
Yep. So, like I said before, the case is technically still open. Well, it is officially still open in Napa County in the city of Riverside. In April 2004, the San Francisco PD marked the case as inactive. They cited like the caseload pressure and resource demands, and they effectively just closed the case. However, they did reopen the case sometime before March 2007. The most recent development in the case was in 2018 in May, where the Vallejo Police Department announced that they were going to attempt to collect the Zodiac killer's DNA from the back of the stamps which he had used during his correspondence.
Right.
They said they were going to send this in, and they were going to use the similar to the methods that they used to catch the Golden State Killer, compare, the DNA to the database of collected DNA from either of these, 23andMe, whatever, I don't know.
Yeah.
All of those ones. And they would be like, okay, this is how we're going to catch him. And we haven't heard anything since then. So I don't know. I guess they haven't found him.
Well, didn't they it was partial.
Or it's Ted Cruz. I don't know.
Why did it take them so long to do the DNA profiling from the envelope because when these murders were happening, DNA profiling was just starting to become widespread. So why did it take to 2018 for them to be like, you know what we should do? Grab
2007.
that. Oh, 2007?
Yeah, 2007.
Oh, still, it's what, 17 years out?
Yeah.
I don't think, 23andMe and those, the Golden State Killer stuff, I don't think that came in until later. Like they didn't have it like, you can get DNA from almost anything, but that same thing with fingerprints. Like you can get fingerprints, DNA from anything. The problem is whether those fingerprints or that DNA matches DNA or fingerprints in a database of people. So like you could get fingerprints from a window, from whatever, from a weapon, but you don't know whose fingerprints those are unless they're a person who has previously been, they were fingerprinted in another crime,
right? Or
they were in the military, or they had a job where they had to, actually provide fingerprints for their job or something like that. That's the whole kind of problem with these.
Now, did they actually? Because I don't really know how DNA profiling works. If you just get a tiny bit, can you get your full profile, or was it incomplete and that's why they could never really match it to something else?
I think usually you get about like a 98 to 97%. Like it's depending on like because
you just need one drop of like saliva from your cheek or like one hair.
Yeah, but this is fucking 30, 40-year-old saliva from a fucking stamp.
That's what I mean. Like, would it be degraded to the point where like it doesn't give you a full profile?
I think they'd still be able to pull off like enough markers to be confident to be like, these are the same people if they had it, but they haven't found anything.
Whoever the Zodiac killer is or was, if they found his DNA was not in a database which allowed to be matched. So he was someone unconvicted in prior.
You know, or he saw the 23andMe and stuff and he's like, ha ha ha, not today. Like,
But maybe we'll get lucky eventually and get, a cousin or relative that it's a close match.
So it's not like they didn't have a lot of suspects for this case.
Okay, now Dan, just before you get into suspects, let's take a quick beer break because it's going to get, we're going to go down a rabbit hole with suspects that, it's still unsolved. So we're going to talk about a few. So we'll take a quick beer break and we'll be right back. All right, we're back.
Yeah, we were going into the suspects, right? So now you have this huge, like the police departments that were all working together at this point. They even had pulled in the FBI to kind of help them with like fingerprint, behavior analysis, those kinds of things. I think the original pool of suspects was like 2,500 or something like that. They had a ton of suspects.
What do you expect when you have all this shit in the newspaper, though? Like, what do you think?
Yeah, no kidding.
My uncle's cousin's brother is the fucking Zodiac.
They narrowed it down to a smaller pool of suspects.
Yeah, they did.
Right.
Very much.
They had
did.
a couple like top. I think there's like a top 3 or 4.
Listen, if you're from California, in my eyes, you're a suspect.
Yeah, I'd say so.
All 25 million of you, whatever there is.
right?
There.
Fucking in your 70s? Was that what it'd be? No.
Yeah.
You'd be
70s?
So what? These are in the 70s. So if,
Late
say
60s
you're
or
killing people
70s?
when you're 20, so you'd be 70-ish,
Yeah. So
maybe 80.
you're in your
depending.
fucking
70 years
70s and
old
you're in
living
California.
You are the Zodiac killer.
Ugh. Can't
Yeah,
have
instead
our
of saying
drink on.
okay, boomer, you should say okay, Zodiac.
It's actually pretty good.
Zodiac. That's fucking awesome. Great.
That's actually, damn it, that's actually really good.
Well, that's what
Every
I do.
every
All right,
once in a while
guys,
he
that's
does
it
have a
for
good
me
one.
tonight. Thank you.
But
I'm going out. Go down a high note.
Guy's been riding meat draw for a long time, so it's good he came up with something.
So Ted Cruz is actually only 49, so he'd been quite young
That's what I was saying.
when he's doing some murders.
That's what I was saying.
Anyways, to the suspects.
Okay. Do you want to get into it?
Okay, well,
Let's get
I'll
into
start. I'll start with one suspect, which was highly speculative and was easily dismissed, and that was Lawrence Kane. And now they connect him to because a girl named Donna Last, who disappeared in 1970, and they claim may have been a Zodiac victim, but that's very maybe.
Where did she disappear from?
So this guy, Lawrence Kane, worked at the Lake Tahoe Hotel, the same place this girl went missing from, I guess. And he served in Naval Reserves, and he may have learned coding. It's a big may.
The army man might have had a certain issue of boot.
He had a car accident that left him with a brain injury that may have compromised his ability to control his aggression.
So instead of being a savant, he was a serial killer. Is what
Yeah, his brain got knocked the wrong way. He did not go towards savant and Akashic Records. He went straight to murder.
Okay.
He was arrested twice in 61 and in 78 for peeping and prowling. So a little bit of a weirdo. A retired police detective claims that his name was actually in one of the ciphers, but that was never really corroborated. And that her sister had identified a photo as Kane as the man that had bothered her at a restaurant before she went missing. So that is the first suspect that comes up, and a lot of times is easily dismissed.
Why was it dismissed? Do we have why? Do you know why?
Because it was one guy who said it and no one else could really put that together. It was all speculative, and
like about 90% of the fucking, or actually 99.9%
Like,
of the suspects.
this guy was a weirdo. He's seen this girl at a restaurant. Claims her sister. He worked at the hotel where her sister went missing.
Was it him?
Well, it could have been him that killed this girl.
I don't think he's Zodiac though.
No,
I
it
think
could-
he's just a piece of shit.
He could have killed this girl, but this girl was never convicted. She was never tied to a Zodiac killing.
So how do they who's trying to pin it on this guy?
A retired police detective investigating the case in the
Well,
1980s.
he probably retired early.
He probably did.
That fucking
Not by
sucks.
choice.
Yeah. All right.
So that's number one. That's the easiest one.
Listen,
to get out of
Doug, you're just shit at investigating, okay? We want you off the
there.
force.
You're off the case.
Give me your gun and your badge.
You're a loose cannon.
Not even. You're just, you don't
Just
even. You're a shitty
bad.
cannon. It's rusted. It
But
doesn't
you're,
work.
you're a
Doug,
loose, shitty
you're
cannon.
Yeah.
incompetent. You should not be a police officer.
I wish I could say you're a loose cannon, but really, you're just a shitty can.
Fucking
You just did
should have put him back on
shitty
traffic.
cop.
You blew it.
The last thing about this guy is, so Kathleen Jones is a girl who got away from, that's the girl who got away from the guy who knocked off the tires and not.
Oh, with the baby.
She claimed she'd seen a picture of this guy and she claimed it looked the same.
She said that about the fucking Zodiac drawing too, though.
Yeah, but the
But
Zodiac.
let's pull up a
here's
picture of
the
this
thing,
guy.
though.
How does he look? Let's see.
The Zodiac?
Lawrence
That being said, we will show
Kane
a picture.
looks like it.
We'll show a picture of the script, the fucking the police drawing of Zodiac, and it's like guy looks just like fucking Buddy Holly and like 90% of the people who weren't hippies back then.
Yeah.
Fucking
it looks like
crew
one of the
cut,
victims,
Gas
actually.
glasses, you know what I mean? Like,
But Lawrence King kind of looks that way.
So Lawrence King, if you're looking at this picture, is the guy in the middle in the top right here, and beside the Zodiac. So it's maybe kind of the same without glasses. A little bit fatter
A little
face.
bit, yeah.
The one thing that they do, everybody that's fucking seen him, the one thing that they state about him was the widow's peak. He had a very pronounced widow's peak.
Larry Kane did not really have a widow's peak though.
Yeah.
No.
So because of those,
For those reasons, we're out.
for those reasons, we are out.
Yeah.
We're out.
Larry King,
Yeah.
or
Larry
You're
King.
free to
Larry
go.
King. Larry King is
Mr.
not
Kane.
the Zodiac killer, but he is the right age.
Well, how
he
old
could,
is he? How old
yeah,
is he?
well, he's like fucking.
Larry King is the Zodiac.
He's 80. What? Larry King's probably 86 years old.
Is he from California?
Larry King.
Oh man, I think we just blew this shit.
Should we
right
just
off the
crack
bat.
it? He
Are we
is
just-
86
just-
years old. He's from Brooklyn, New York, though. Not
We're
not
so
the Zodiac
close.
killer.
Take him off the
We were
wall.
so close to
Take
cracking it by
take the
yelling
red
out
string.
old celebrity names.
Yeah.
Take the red string away from fucking Larry King. Wasn't him.
We need to call into his show and tell him, you're the Zodiac, we know.
Lawrence Kane, probably not the Zodiac killer,
Yeah,
but
free to go.
maybe a criminal.
Put that on the fucking cue cards. It's unsolved still. We're moving on to the next one.
Unsolved. Next suspect.
All right, I'm gonna jump into this one.
Let's hear it.
This is the fucking guy. This is the reason why. Like, I feel I'm super biased though because when I was in like fucking grade 9, I read fucking Graysmith's Zodiac book, did a book report on it, and after reading his book, you're like, there's only one option to be the fucking Zodiac. It doesn't make any other sense. Like Tim, obviously. So the suspect that we're gonna touch on right now is Arthur Lee Allen. You notice how we include the nickname because you know he's fucking guilty. Every single fucking bad person. Fucking, you use their middle.
You mean the middle name?
It's what
Yeah.
it is. That's how
The
you know it's
three
him.
names.
You know how he's guilty because you use his middle
Lee
name.
Harvey Oswald.
All
right?
of them.
Yep.
All of them. Anyways, so background on this guy: Arthur Lee Allen was dishonorably discharged from the Navy in 1958.
What'd he do?
I know. Let's ask Dan. Same thing happened to him with the Navy, right?
Yeah.
Wasn't that what happened?
Dan was too smart for the wrenches and they got rid of him.
Fuck out of here.
Yeah. Also,
Too
yeah.
smart. Dan, where were you in the 70s in fucking San Francisco?
Yeah.
Just out of fucking curiosity.
Classified.
You heard it here.
Okay, so he's
Interesting.
dishonorably discharged in 1958. He also lost his job at elementary school in 1968 for being a diddler piece of shit.
Piece of shit.
Big time piece of shit. In 1974, he was arrested for molesting another child
Jesus.
and served his sentence at fuck's sake.
You get it. Get it out. Get it out. Get it out.
At a Cedros State Hospital until 1977. When he was a child, he found interest in really fun things like killing animals and torturing bugs, according to his family members.
Torturing bugs.
Like
He
big
put
time serial killer.
He put all the
there.
bugs in like a one jar and then shook them up and see if they would fight each other. Or?
No, he was the piece of shit with
'Cause
the
you used to do
magnifying
that,
glass.
Sal.
Everyone
Right.
did
And
that
like-
when
Oh,
you
yeah.
were a kid.
I did not do that.
Everyone did that.
I did not.
You
By
find
everyone,
you
we
get some
mean Zal.
carpenter ants, a wolf spider, a black beetle, whatever you can get, put them in a thing, and then you shake them, and then nothing happened. Then you let them go.
And
Like,
then the
oh,
slug
Listen,
always wins.
My fucking relationship is on the rocks right now because I refuse to kill the anthill outside of my garage that keep coming in because I feel terrible. I just keep trying to move them because I'm like, they're alive.
They're
I
just
don't
doing
know.
their jobs,
Yeah,
man.
they're
Like,
cool.
They don't
Haven't you seen ants? How am I supposed to kill these after watching that fucking movie?
see the bug's life.
Yeah.
God damn it.
Jesus. I can't do it.
They just want to be a beautiful butterfly.
I can't do it. I feel terrible. Anyways, so we've established Arthur Lee Allen, fucking diddler. We know
Piece
that
of
for
shit.
sure.
He's a piece of shit.
Piece
we
of
know
shit.
that. Right.
So how does he fit in this fucking scenario?
How does he fit?
This scenario. 1971. Arthur Lee Allen's friend, Donald Cheney. not Dick Cheney, Donald Cheney, reported to
Brother of Dick Cheney.
the Manhattan Beach Police Department in California that Allen had spoken of the following while they went hunting together. He said he would randomly like to kill couples. He would taunt the police with letters detailing his crimes. He would sign the letters with a cross and circle symbol from his watch. He wanted to one day call himself the Zodiac, he said to his friend. He would wear makeup and change his appearance. He would attach a flashlight to the barrel of his gun to shoot them at night. He would fool women into stopping their cars in rural areas, claiming that that they had problems with their tires, loosen lug nuts, and take them captive. But it turns out that this is not the first time, though. Like, right? You're like, this guy's probably this Dick Cheney motherfucker's probably Zodiac.
Yeah.
Or he's wanting to be popular and he fucking hates this guy for slamming his old lady or something. Like, hates this guy. Hates Arthur Lee Allen. But it turns out
Dick Cheney is 79 years old.
Dick Cheney, put him on the list.
Put him on the list.
Turns out on October 6th, 1969, Allen was already interviewed by the Vallejo Police Department. Allen had reportedly been in the vicinity of Lake Berryessa during the attack on September 27th, 1969. And he described himself as skin diving that day of the attacks. I don't fucking, what's skin diving mean? Is he skin dipping?
I maybe like free diving, like without a tank.
It's like free diving. You're just,
but like this,
you're just not using a wetsuit.
You know what I mean? And like when they approach to talk to this guy, they're like, "Hey man, we saw you in this area. We just got to ask you a few questions." First thing he says is, "Listen, the knives in my trunk have blood on them, but the only reason they have blood on them is because I was killing chickens."
I like to keep my bloody knives after killing chickens in my car without cleaning them.
That's a weird opener.
So now
I don't
do you
know
want
if
to
I'd
get
open with that?
Yeah, I might
even if I
save
had that
for when they've
story in my
seen
trunk.
them.
That's not all the weird shit. You want to get into all the circumstantial fucking evidence against this
Let's
guy?
get into it.
So remember when he called that fucking lawyer
For to come on
to
the
be on the show?
Be on the show, yeah.
So he
Two
talked
lawyers.
So apparently they talked to the two lawyers on the show. Okay. After the fact, that lawyer reported getting fucking multiple phone calls to his house by the Zodiac. One time, his housekeeper answered the phone and he's like, "Hey, I'm the fucking Zodiac. I want to talk to the lawyer. Let me talk to him." and the lady's just, "Sorry, he's not here right now." And he says, "Well, I'm going to go kill somebody right now because it's my fucking birthday."
I love killing on my birthday.
The day he called, December 18th. When do you fucking think Arthur Lee Allen's birthday is?
December 18th.
Boom.
Oh, so you got...
Boom.
Wait, so a murder was on the 18th and he called on the 18th.
Yeah, well, he called and said, it's my fucking birthday on the 18th. And he said, "I'm going to kill somebody on the 18th. Nobody got murdered, actually, because...
December 20th, though.
Oh, there you go. Close.
First murder was December 20th, so maybe he wanted to kill on the 18th. It took him a couple days to find the right place, find the right people, get up the nerve, and then boom.
We're moving on. Arthur Lee Allen lived in Vallejo near Blue Rock Springs and Lake Herman Road murders.
He did it.
Allen was allegedly in Riverside on the weekend that Sherry Jo Bates was murdered. He later claimed that he was in Pomona when he heard that Bates was murdered. Allen took his only sick day of the year on November 1st, 1966, the day Bates was murdered. All right. Vallejo Police Department seized a Royal typewriter with elite type from Allen's home, which is the brand of typewriter used to write the Bates letters.
And the ciphers?
Yes.
He owned a Zodiac brand wristwatch that had the symbol on it.
That his mom gave him, and the fucking his mom gave him Christmas 1967. You know what they found at the site of Sherry Jo Bates' murder in 1966? A motherfucking Timex wristwatch.
Wristwatch.
That's
right outside the library.
That's a different brand, though.
That's a different brand.
Yeah,
of
exactly.
watch.
So he lost his fucking watch in 1966. So his mom bought him a fucking Zodiac brand in 1967. Suck that shit.
So 66 was before the murders, but maybe a probable murder because
66 was the Sherry Jo Bates murder that wasn't accredited to him, where he lost his watch. 1967 is when he apparently got the fucking Zodiac wristwatch for Christmas from his mom. Does that shit line up?
So 66 before.
Oh,
Does
okay.
that line
I
up,
see what you're saying.
motherfuckers?
So
You don't need a watch if you already got one.
left lost his watch in 66 at a potential Zodiac murder.
Well, we don't know if it was him that lost his watch.
No, I'm saying, but
there
like,
was a watch found at the murder site.
so like
A Timex.
someone
Time-
lost a
and then he gets
Timex
new one.
watch in 66, and then in what do you say 67?
The Christmas of 1967, according to his brother, Alan was given a fucking wristwatch for Christmas by his mom in
Because he
1967.
lost.
Zodiac brand.
He may have lost the Timex watch doing a little murdering the year before.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Majot describes a brown Corvair at the Blue Rock Springs Blue Rock Springs murder. Alan's friend Philip owned a brown Corvair that Alan was allowed to use.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
All right. An unidentified man named Lee was known to associate with Farron and with Farron, one of the fucking females that were murdered. Alan frequently went by his middle name. Told police he was going up to Biessa on the day of the Hartnell Shepherd attack, but decided to go up the coast instead. That doesn't really make sense to me. Go back to the fucking
Back to the good shit.
yeah.
So he lost a watch. Got a
Zodiac
new
is
watch.
frequently theorized as having military ties. Alan was at one time a sailmaker in the Navy. Alan wore a size 10.5 shoe, similar to those left at the crime scene.
Hard sole boot.
Hard sole boot, military boot.
Military, not
Military
construction
boot.
boot. Could be
No.
military boot.
In 1991, the search warrant of Alan's house found bomb diagrams with the same ingredients for bombs that were mentioned in a previous Zodiac letter. That's kind of confusing because we didn't talk about the fact that he mentioned that he was making bombs.
Well,
he did.
is that about the bombs in the school bus in the map?
Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
Which we
Yeah,
missed
and
that.
he had bombs. He had like dissected animals in the freezer. Like weird shit. Sex toys.
Squirrels
Just a bunch
in
of
the freezer.
weird.
Squirrels and well, hey, you can eat
He's eating
squirrels. You can eat squirrels.
Well, he did, I think.
Yeah. I think, but every description I read wasn't of like, these were like packaged little filleted squirrels. They were like dissected. Like they were opened up. Like
I see.
it wasn't
Well,
a pretty
he did like
sight.
torturing animals. Alan also claimed to have consulted Melvin Belly, an attorney mentioned by the Zodiac in the letters. So we do have some exculpatory evidence, unfortunately, though.
Okay.
The eyewitnesses of the Stein murder claim that he did not fucking fit the match whatsoever. The fingerprints left at the Stein murder did not match. His DNA did not match the fucking saliva tests. He did not wear glasses.
I like outside of the DNA evidence, like him not matching the fingerprint. I like part of me when I was looking into this wondered if he's just a super fucked up weird guy and people want him to fit because he's so close to fitting
a
the mold
diddler.
of like what you expect.
Yeah, but what does he look
you're like-
like though?
And well, he does.
He's
also,
he's a pretty big guy.
and they always refer to the Zodiac as a big lumbering man.
Like heavy set in
Well,
the first 3 murders for sure.
Here's a comparison of pictures. So for the people on Patreon watching the live stream, the
Yeah,
picture
but
on the left is the Zodiac killer with more of a full head of hair, slight widow's peak with glasses and
An extra
Here-
fucking chin on the right there.
and then the right, it's Arthur Lee Allen does not quite look.
No, but
Another
let's
thing-
remember that those descriptors isn't from these first 3 the first 3 murders.
Yes,
they're
they are.
from they're after that detailed drawing.
Majot
is
and
not. It's-
Hartnell, but they also added shit from Majot and Hartnell, and like Majot and Hartnell looked at those and been like, yeah, that looks like him. Majot was hard to track down though. Another thing though, because his handwriting didn't match, he was ambidextrous.
Oh, so he could write fairly well with both hands.
Exactly, and
or
other
just
stuff
as
like
bad.
his sister-in-law stated that Christmas cards and stuff like that, he misspelled Christmas with an extra S, just like fucking Zodiac did on the letters. You know what?
Maybe
to
this
me-
guy put on weight after the murders, and that's why this picture that is circulating is not quite accurate. Because another picture does not
Maybe-
shown as a double or triple chin.
Maybe he wasn't doing it alone.
Maybe not.
Maybe he had a partner. That fucking Dick Cheney bastard sounds kind of weird too.
He's-
It's like he tried to
He's
sandbag
79
him,
years
right?
old.
He tried to sandbag him
It's-
and was like,
It's weird because I'm just saying, Andrew, like, boys, if we were in the woods and we were hunting and one of you guys was like, "Yeah,
Andrew
I just
hunting
love
in the woods.
tricking women into
Andrew
pulling
crying
over
in the woods would be more accurate.
and then abducting them." Hey guys, call me Zodiac from now on. And then you're just saying all this weird shit. Like when I came out of the woods, I'd be like, "Well, that's fucked up." And then the second someone was like, "There's this person doing this," I would be like, "Let me just make a quick phone call."
Well,
here.
he did
I think
try and
this guy
approach
is the Zodiac.
the Cheney did try to approach the police earlier, but his fucking shit was lost because there was 200,000 different people calling in at the same time.
Yeah.
Another weird thing too is the Zodiac watches. Like we touched on the fact that he had a Zodiac watch. Do you know what the fucking logo for the Zodiac watch is?
Yeah, it's the cross in the circle.
It's the fucking same thing.
It's the
That's the Zodiac.
That's
the Zodiac sign
the-
from many things. Though.
Oh, and I wonder, like, I just out of curiosity, do you guys? I'm going to give everybody a little guess. What do you think his favorite book was?
The Bible,
No,
the Zodiac.
What's the Hunt for Red October?
no,
He loved astrology.
Dangerous Game.
The Most Dangerous Game.
Oh shit!
And he made that readily available. He's like, yeah, fucking favorite book. That's a quote from my favorite book.
Okay, but he does not look anything like the sketch. So
No,
I'm
he
saying.
doesn't. So that's what I'm saying. Maybe he
Bad
had a
sketch.
partner.
Maybe
He
I
had a
did.
partner.
Maybe his partner was fucking Ross Sullivan.
Oh, you want to get into Ross Sullivan now?
Well, I don't know much about Ross Sullivan except he looks just like the picture.
He is. That's
It's the
somebody was
same
like,
guy.
hey, that's a picture of Ross Sullivan. We'd all be like, yeah, you're right, that is.
Now, why did okay?
Pull up a picture of him. I want to see on the live stream.
Okay, we gotta put those
You
up
wanna see
because
this?
Ross Sullivan. This is
Google
Zodiac
it
killer.
if you don't know.
There he is.
That's him.
That's fucking Ross Sullivan. That's
Ross
him.
Sullivan.
Ross Sullivan is a Zodiac killer if you're going by the sketch.
Ross Sullivan. In 1969, he attends Riverside City College, same college that Sherry Jo Bates was murdered. He was a library assistant. Co-workers stated that Sullivan bragged about going to Patton State Mental Hospital because he was a schizophrenic. He was closely linked to the non-canonical Zodiac victim, Sherry Jo Bates, as I just explained. He was working at the campus and made people feel uneasy around him. Did not show up for work after Bates was murdered. Looks very similar to the Zodiac sketch, like we just saw. Same vocabulary and writing style used in the confession letter and the Zodiac letters. People at Riverside have stated that Ross wrote creepy poems. He wrote an essay on how to disguise handwriting. He also moved to Santa Cruz in 1968. How fucking convenient.
Just before the murders.
And after Sherry Jo Bates was killed.
And yeah, after potential multiple other murders that may or may not have been Zodiac. Now, why not him though? What do they say? Why did they say not?
Nothing, because he was never, like, they never got a chance to fucking interview him or nothing.
He died before?
I don't know. They didn't.
Well, that we know of.
Yeah, they didn't like him
Nothing
for it,
public,
from-
at least.
The problem with this too is the fact that this is so many different police detachments that fucking dealt with these fucking cases, right? Because he killed people in
4
Napa.
local police departments. You have Solano County, Vallejo, Napa County, and San Francisco.
Yeah.
4 different police departments.
And they did not.
And the California Department of Justice.
And they didn't share information well. Like, did they have fucking fax machines back then? I don't know. Like, it was hard for them to be able to.
Teletypes.
Ross Sullivan died in 1977
There you go.
at age of 36.
Fuck's sake.
Heart attack.
Had a jammer thinking about all that shit that
How
he did.
convenient.
Exactly.
It's see, to
Well,
me,
you don't-
I lean towards the
freeze. Stop. Zell, can you fucking throw a filter on Braden right now and throw a little pair of glasses on him? Because I can see it.
I can't,
see
but
it.
I can picture.
I can fucking see it.
Skinny brain.
Wait, where
Zodiac
is-
killer.
It's skinny
Wait,
brain.
he's-
one moment.
He's going to
One
get
moment.
his horn-rimmed glasses right now.
The only reason Braden has those is because he did go through a very excessive hipster phase, and that is not an exaggeration whatsoever.
Where we had the shaved sides and the long top,
Yeah,
and then
he
he
was
bought
like-
the dark rimmed glasses.
He's a hard fucking hipster for a while.
It's fun.
Yeah.
Where
He's
is
fucking contrarian. to
that's a
everything.
fucking God, Zodiac
The
killer?
fucking Zodiac killer has just, ladies and gentlemen, the Zodiac killer has just joined our fucking stream.
Smile,
Tell us why
smile,
you did it.
Zodiac
Why
killer.
did you do it, you piece of shit?
Look at those fucking lenses.
Look at that.
Oh wait.
Put it up. Let's see. Yeah, it's him. It's him. Look at the nose. Look at the nose.
His nose.
Thin
the
ass
smirk.
nose.
The smirk too. Cracked it, Braden.
That's it. Put him up on the
Yeah.
list.
You know, it's
Next,
funny.
Dick Cheney.
Time traveling Zodiac
I've
killer.
been trying to tell you guys the whole time. How many times have I been trying to have I been saying, call me Zodiac from now on.
Oh, that's right. He has been saying that a lot lately. Now I remember. I thought it was just stupid.
That was just a stupid thing to say, and now it makes sense.
Well, you do say a lot of dumb shit.
That's true.
When I'm thinking about this one, the hard thing for me is I'm like, the first those three murders, like the lovers, like with the couples, those to me are like a very specific MO. You know, the third one looks like kind of a ramp up, but then you have this mass hysteria of this killing that it's now, you know, you're now able to basically anyone can say. I think anything else was copycats. That's what I think. So I think this is a bunch of murders done by a bunch of people, and it's being attributed to a single killer. That, in my opinion, that's what I like. That's what my gut goes with. Dan, what do you think?
Yeah,
Dan's
so
got a good theory.
at least one other person has written an entire book about that type of theory, that there is no Zodiac killer, that these murders did take place, but they are not necessarily connected in any way, or perhaps one or two might be, but not all of the 5 canonical murders that took place. So Thomas Henry Horan is the author of a book called The Myth of the Zodiac Killer, and he posits the theory that these killings are not necessarily connected. Like 90% of the information that we have about the Zodiac case, like the Zodiac killer case, is all taken from Robert Graysmith's book. Robert Graysmith was a cartoonist, and he was also part of the production crew for the San Francisco Chronicle. Correct?
Yes, he's a political cartoonist.
Right, political cartoonist, but he also was a producer on the San Francisco Chronicle. To add a little bit more context, the Chronicle and the one other newspaper that was one of the ones that the Examiner, I think.
Yes.
The Chronicle and the Examiner were both owned by the same media company. Before the murders had started, actually that year, they had been bought by the same media company, and they were actually in direct competition with each other because I think they figured that one of them was going under.
So
and it was only one of them was going to be.
Spoiler alert, big newspaper did it.
Big paper.
That's it, big paper.
So that is just happening. So you have these two newspapers who are in direct contention with each other. You have Robert Graysmith, who is a, cartoonist, but he also is kind of like an apparently to some reports he is an amateur sleuth of some sort. And so during that time, it was not unusual to have newspaper reporters work closely with police, and it wasn't even unusual. Even more, which I think is wild now, is that some police officers would actually have reporters type up their police reports for them. So that kind of is, so you have these kind of
the media.
So when they say Robert Graysmith had access to, this information that was only accessible by the police is actually a very wide pool of people. It's not just the police. You also have the police and also reporters who would also at the time have been working with the police. So it's not like just one thing. So most of the stuff that we have today, information, is stuff that was in Robert Graysmith's book, and they call it like the Yellow Book or whatever it is. That's what a lot of people pull their information from, and they consider that kind of that is the quintessential Zodiac killer information. All the stuff comes from there. It wasn't until a person who is considered a Zodiac obsessive, Mike Rodelli, found out that the FBI actually received copies of all of the Zodiac files from the relevant police departments. Again, that's the Solano County, Vallejo, Napa County, and San Francisco. So all 4 police departments, they scanned all this stuff. You can go to the FBI website. You can type it in. If you type in a Zodiac killer FBI files, it pops up. There's like 6 of them, and you can go through all of this stuff in there. It's mostly it's just a lot of police reports, it's a lot of paperwork and things like that. But from a FOIA request, Mr. Rodelli got all these things, and it's some 2,500 pages. Now, Thomas Henry Horan, the author of this book, says that from his analysis of these 2,500 pages. He went through all this information. He found some inconsistencies and stuff that he claims that Graysmith either lied about or completely made up. I didn't go that deep into it about those things, but he has some problems with that thing. Now, if you look up Thomas Henry Horan, he's got some theories which that go real deep and go real crazy real fast, but he has some stuff that when I listen to him and some of his theories about the Zodiac killings, I would kind of line up. Like Braden said, the MO for some of these cases, if you put these cases, like the 5 ones that are considered the Zodiac killings, the official Zodiac killings, if you told me each one separately and you said, like, what's the common thing in these, like, besides the writings, if you took out the letters and you took all that stuff out, you'd be like, there's nothing.
Well,
like the first 2 were couples, were young couples. Like the third one is kind of,
he was wearing a costume.
Well, not even the costume stuff. If you take out the costumes, even if you put in the costume stuff and don't reference the Circle Zodiac stuff, it again, like taking out all of that, removing all of that, you'd be like, these murders are unconnected. What? Maybe the first 2.
The first 3, other than the fact that different weapons were used, sound like they're fucking bang on. How did they? What do you mean?
The first 2 for sure. The
only difference with the third one is the fact that it was a knife used, and they were in the fucking. They, instead of being in a car, they were laying on the fucking
that
beach.
is part of the thing where it's like it was a knife used, not a gun.
Yeah.
And he had him tied
he had a gun with him.
Always tied him up. He didn't tie the other ones up. Yeah, so if you gave me all that information, for me, I would not connect. Maybe I don't make the best. Yeah,
the first 3 were both
police detectives.
Pairs attacked. A man, woman, man, woman, man,
young
woman.
couples.
Young couples.
See, that's why I would connect the first 2 100%, and then the third one is I connect that one as well. But I look at it as a step up.
Yeah, he's escalating.
Like he's done this stuff where he walks up and he shoots, nervous, bang bang, bang 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 bang. Second one goes bang bang, shoots him, walks away, comes back, shoots him again. Now he's got comfortable for it, and now he's like wants to incite fear. So like the next time he comes with a gun, ties him up, and then he wants to get more intimate. He doesn't want just the shooting, right? That doesn't have the same excitement.
It's not getting the same hit of dopamine from the first murderer
right?
too.
So
he wants to get more.
The third one to me, but then all the other ones, like the one with the cab driver and stuff, I'm like, this is
the cab driver.
No, doesn't make any sense that would be even how.
Another one of the things that Horan kind of points out is that there are some mistakes he compares the mistakes to the letters in the official police reports that were filed from the police. He cites one of the mistakes or one of the inconsistencies is that Darlene Ferrin was said that when the killer wrote in to the, expressing that he had intimate knowledge, details that it would only be available to the police. He said that she was wearing patterned slacks when he killed her. Right now, like he wrote in his letter, patterned pants. Now, if you go back and you look at the actual police evidence property records, they show that when they wrote in the report, they wrote blue and white flowered slack dress. Now, the writing on
that's the thing though. It's like, for me, when I heard all these things, that's what made me kind of wonder if maybe there was like police involved with this, because the descriptions of the scenes were so fucking vivid and like good. Like, how long did he hang out after fucking killing these people? You know what I mean? Because he like described the scenes perfectly, right?
So and I am on board with perhaps there is some police involvement, because there's further things that kind of indicate or kind of lead in that direction that perhaps there was some sort of police or at least media involvement. Again, when you say police, at this point you both have media. You have reporters who are who have access to this information, and police working in the police. So there's other evidence that tie these kind of murders together. Now, when we talked about the first phone call made during the murder of where Farron was shot and Majo survived, you have the phone call which happened you said, after that one of them had been pronounced dead, but it took place full 30 minutes after the shooting had been reported to the police. Now, anyone listening to a police radio frequency, and back then they didn't even have like coded stuff, so you didn't even need a police scanner, right?
Is this
you would
open
actually,
frequency?
Fucking scan BC.
Right,
they're listening.
So you could have heard that 2 victims in a brown car had been shot, and that the police were on the lookout for somebody with a 9mm Luger.
Right.
One other thing that is pointed out is that when the killer, the alleged whatever, when they say the killer called in, they said that the murder had taken place a mile east of Columbus Parkway. Now, Blue Rock Springs Park isn't a mile east of the police station. It's actually 2 miles north of the police station, but the park is actually a mile east of the fire station where they would have dispatched the ambulance when they heard about the murder.
Ambulance.
You would have heard
So
that.
what
What does that mean exactly?
Yeah, I don't understand.
So you would have heard, they could have actually heard when they said, the writing says a mile east on Columbus Parkway. They're not referencing the police station. They could have heard the report from the ambulance being dispatched before the police station.
Right now, so I don't know this off the stat at all, but like how many murders are in this area all the time? Like, is there, why all of a sudden is now someone hearing the police scanner and now calling in?
So, well, this actually took place this took place after the Zodiac killings, right? Or the first murder, right? Now, another point that they go into is that Vallejo is actually, or what had been at the time, and perhaps even now, I'm not sure, because I tried to look up the homicide rates for Vallejo and San Francisco. They've been steadily rising, but you could also say that is a result of like the steadily rising population of that area, whatever. But Haran, in his book, he makes a point to reference that the burgeoning meth trade that was going down in Vallejo County. Like Vallejo County was, Vallejo, California, that area was actually infamous for the Hells Angels, and they were actually running a meth business and from that area. So there's this one piece of information that's really weird, is that in the Blue Rock Springs Park, you had that killing. What's the male victim, Majo? Is it Majo? Right?
Michael Ronald Majo
was wearing 3 pairs of clothing. He was wearing 3 sweaters and 3 pairs of pants, all at the same
4th
time.
of July. He was interviewed, and the reason why he says he was doing that is because he was a skinny little fucking dude and was like, I wanted to beef up a bit for my date.
Oh shit!
That's what he says.
Why else would you wear 3 pairs though?
If you were going to go rob houses and you were going to change your clothes very quickly in order to avoid, because the thing is, the place that they were parked, they in Graysmiths and in the Zodiac mythology, they posit these places as like lovers' lanes, but this place that they found these people was also a place where drug deals would go down.
Yeah, same.
Yeah, but what? Like, I still don't.
Now this is
what makes you think he's robbing shit at the drug deal.
This is before the Zodiac letters, though. The second murder is before the letters.
Before the letters, but the thing is, when they call in, they don't say anything about the Zodiac. The Zodiac hadn't even been mentioned at this point. Zodiac hadn't even been named at this point.
Yeah, but who's like, hey, let's go make out. I'm gonna grab my old lady. We're gonna go make out, and then I'm gonna go rob some people.
Or
okay, but if you're gonna go make out, why are you wearing 3 pairs of fucking pants?
Because he's a skinny little dude and he wanted to look buff. That's what he said. That was his excuse. He gets interviewed. I watched it. That's what his excuse was.
Yeah, but that's the dumbest excuse I've ever heard, because if you've ever put on 3 pairs of your own fucking pants, you're gonna look fucking stupid.
2001 to 2007, I was 2-shirting it.
I was double
shirting it hard. Added 5 pounds.
One of the I'm just saying, one of the theories is that it was a drug deal gone bad, and that these kids got killed, and that somebody chalked it up to the killings. I killed those kids.
I still don't understand. Why would you wear extra clothes to a drug deal?
Why would you bring? I don't understand why you'd bring extra clothes to lovers like that. To me, that sounds stupid.
He's fucking, like I said, he's a skinny little dude and wants to look fucking buff so he can get laid.
How old is he? How old is he again?
19.
He's like 19.
He has a unformed brain. It's not complete. He's a dummy.
He's a grown ass man when he gets interviewed. Why lie about it? Why not be like, listen, I was fucking trying to score drugs.
Yeah, I get the theory of like, okay, they murdered him, and then are you saying then the Hells Angels or whoever called in to frame it as trying to connect it to the murder that happened before? Even though the Zodiac, there was no serial killer at this point. It was just there was a murder and then there was another murder.
Not to mention, at this point in time, this happened 1970, July 4th. No, 68, right?
69.
69. Serial killers weren't even really a thing at this point in time. The word serial killer wasn't even invented.
1968, the year before, you had the popular movie The Boston Strangler come out. The Boston Strangler case earlier in the 1960s, and then you had the Boston Strangler movie come out with Henry Fonda. That already came out earlier that year.
And that's where they coined serial killer?
No, that's not where they coined serial killers.
But
if so nobody would coin serial killers. You could say
was until the 70s.
This case so represents or is very prototypical and follows a lot of the murders of the Jack the Ripper murders. Like that is the quintessential murder case.
Nobody got
all
stabbed.
All of this stuff kind of follows Jack the Ripper.
Nobody got stabbed until the third killing.
Jack the Ripper was solo. Wasn't Jack the Ripper though solo women, not couples?
Prostitutes.
But he was still, it's the whole hallmarks of like taunting the police and like that whole kind of thing, that whole archetype of this, the smart serial killer, the well thought out,
it's a story as old as time.
Yeah, well, okay, I get that, but that has just as much, that's theory has just as much credence as it was the Zodiac killer though, because that's just like, okay, it could have been a drug dealer, but that's it, right? There's there's nothing else.
The difference is we have no evidence of drugs or anything, and yet we have somebody saying I'm the Zodiac and I killed those fucking people.
When you think about the Lake Berryessa incident, right? The Lake Berryessa incident is probably like the weirdest one. This is the one that you see that's always like starts out the movies or whatever, where you have the person in the black hood with the Zodiac cross and all this thing. This one, this murder took place after the killer had been identified as a Zodiac killer. Like after he had sent the actual letter that starts out with, "This is the Zodiac killer speaking," right? And he put the symbol at the bottom of the letters, that circle with the cross in it. Now, that murder is not referred to in any of the letters that the Zodiac sent. There's no reference to the Lake Berryessa murder that the Zodiac killer in his correspondence.
I don't know, but he does. Like, I know it's not referred to, and this guy could potentially be impersonating him, but he does leave a letter on the fucking door.
It's not a letter. It's just I wrote the dates of when these people got
the
killed.
Symbol and the dates. It still fit. Like he's still going after a man and a woman, fucking on a date.
But why doesn't he write the letter just like he did all that time? If he continued
he didn't write a letter for the first one.
3 years of correspondence, like almost 5 years of correspondence.
Yeah, but he doesn't. He doesn't write a letter about all of them.
Yeah, for me, I get Dan what you're saying, but at the same time, that has as much credence as that it was the same killer. To me, it's like I just
think it was a good time. Easy as like in this media, like you could get away with anything if you were someone that was killing people. You could get away with anything by saying like, doing a note, sending it in, and attributing the kill to the Zodiac at this point. And then people would look at it and go like, well, it's a fucking Zodiac killer. And then instantly it's getting swirled in with all this fucking muddy water that's around this because they don't know. But my gut always goes with like, this isn't one killer. This is numerous killings being attributed to one single one. Like that's what my gut instinct goes to.
When I read the killings and some of the killings we didn't talk about, there's two killings in particular that I think were more connected. I don't know why. Maybe there's something I didn't read. Very well could be. But in 1963, there was a killing where a couple, a fiance, a to-be wed couple were bound and shot with a .22 caliber pistol with the same Western Super X ammunition as the murder in 1969. And that's not attributed to the Zodiac killer. But when I read that, I was like, that makes more sense. Those two. So that makes me think like maybe there was a serial killer, but he wasn't doing all the killings. And yes, maybe not even copycats, just like people who maybe it was easier for them to get away with their murder if they claimed like I'm the Zodiac killer and they put out stuff in. But because I'm not a huge true crime guy, but when I read this one, I was like, there are some ones that are not attributed to the Zodiac killer that make more connections to me. The same MO, a couple with the same caliber handgun with the same ammunition, and those ones are not contributed to the Zodiac killer for some reason, but the ones where he stabs them wearing a costume are. So it makes me seem like there was like there was a serial killer, and through the media hype and everything, and like people, whoever it was that called in the first time from the payphone or whatever and said that, then people started preying on it. But I think there is some killings that seem very, very, the MO seems the same. Young couples.
Right. I'm not saying that those, like, some of these murders are not, I wouldn't call him the Zodiac killer. It would be because I'm saying that the Zodiac killer itself, like that figure, is separate from those killings.
It turned into
like
a character.
You don't even, like, you can't.
He's the boogeyman.
Right. Well, you can't necessarily know for sure that the person who killed these people sent those letters.
But as a,
right?
like,
you can't
as
necessarily
a,
know for sure he didn't, though.
As a true crime fucking buff, self-proclaimed fucking
You got your degree in true crime.
True crime.
Armchair
also
detective.
in fucking YouTubeology and all that
Armchair
shit.
University.
Listen here, brother.
Go.
The
beer
reason
koozies.
why these fucking guys get caught is because it escalates and they make mistakes. And that's what we can see here. It's clear he's fucking escalating.
Goes from
I will agree. I will agree with you.
He's
Andrew.
going for fucking quick Shaw McGraws.
Third.
He's going for a couple quick Draw McGraw murders. Then he's like, you know what? I got a nickname now. I'm feeling it. I'm getting a fucking costume to go with it. I'm going to stab these motherfuckers. Next thing you know, I'm in a cab. You know what? I don't want to pay for this guy. I'm just going to shoot him because I'm the motherfucking Zodiac.
Because I can get away with it.
But why does he also rob him, though?
Why not? He
didn't
robbed
rob the other
Hartnell.
victim.
He needs money.
He robbed Hartnell and his old lady.
But then why
He
did
took
he
their
rob-
wallet
like,
and
to
their
me,
keys, dude.
That's making
How do we-
like those two
Okay, one
murders
second.
make
One
it
at a time.
such a stretch.
How do we not know that? Like, what happens if he didn't rob a couple fucking 16-year-olds making out because they probably didn't have any fucking money?
Broke as fuck.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's a good
But then
point.
why shoot him in the back of the head? Random cab driver in the
Why not?
middle of the city,
Why
not on the
I
side
don't
of the road.
think- I think as rational, like, average humans, we don't see how a serial killer's or a psychopath's mind works. Maybe like we just cannot comprehend like what goes through their mind. And in that second, you've already killed, say you killed, I know there's only the 4 sets of murders attributed to him, but maybe he did kill more people and maybe it was like slowly ramping up over time and like the other ones aren't
And he's just
connectable.
like, yeah, I can see
Sure,
that. I don't give
sure.
a fuck.
And the last point I'm going to make on the point of like there not being a Zodiac killer or the person who sent the letters is not necessarily the Zodiac killer is that there was an employee of the Napa County Sheriff's Department and his name was Deputy Hal Snook. Now, Hal Snook had actually created the county's forensics department, which was actually rare in that day. So actually having a forensics department in your police station, kind of unprecedented. Really didn't have that one. He was apparently also an expert in forgery, and he had worked with several newspapers in the past. When you look at his handwriting, like there's a sample of his handwriting that Haran puts in his book, and you look at the handwriting taken from the letters, it is very, very similar. Like you look at his handwriting, the way that it goes, like kind of drifts off far up and to the right. If you look at the Google Doc, Zell, I don't know if you want to pull it up or whatever, but
Which
if you look at
letter?
that-
Which letter are you referring to in particular?
No points out.
not
We already
the,
solved
like
it.
any of the letters.
It's
Like
already
you pull up his first 3 letters. You pull up his first letters. Like this is the murder at the 2 teenagers last Christmas. You pull in that, and you look at his handwriting. You look at that handwriting.
Yeah, it's
Haran points out like there's stuff that they put on like handwriting specialists. They point out like the shape of the J's, like how the J's are kind of like a squiggly J and not like the straight down and the like whatever. It's kind of like a little squeak. Some people do that. I don't know. That's like but that straight J. You look at those and you look at his handwriting.
So this is the Snook gentleman you're talking about?
Hal Snook.
Have we ever
I'm
seen?
not saying that he was the killer, but I'm saying, but it is very. There are a couple of connections because Hal Snook has some tenuous connection apparently to Graysmith, who was working at the Chronicle at some point. Like they knew each other as children, apparently. So at this point, I'll say like Thomas Henry Haran, police involvement and newspaper involvement, I would not rule out of this case because again, like I said, newspapers competing at the time. This kind of whole thing is not thing. Again, one of the we didn't even talk about was it Toshi, one of the Inspector Toshi.
Ooh,
who
you
was
mean
one
Dirty
of the-
Harry?
Right,
You mean fucking Dirty
the guy
Harry.
who the person that they based the character Dirty Harry off of. He actually admitted to forging at least one of the letters that was sent, claiming to be the Zodiac killer.
It's like the Halloween card or something weird.
Right. So, which he said he didn't forge any of the other ones, but and they said he was exonerated later of not writing any of the other ones, but that still kind of casts doubt on the whole thing, the correspondence itself not being from the actual Zodiac killer, or at least not all of it. Right.
Zodiac killer.
All I'm saying is the
Still
Zodiac
unsolved.
killer, again, it
Because
is
it's you.
unsolved.
It's you. We know it.
Time traveling Zodiac killer Dan.
I've never seen you or Snook in the same room at the same time. That's all I'm saying.
Okay, let's start wrapping this up. I'm going to give it my quick summary, then we'll go around and we'll just think just give our thoughts on what we think. I still think that there was some type of serial killer.
For sure.
I do not know if the serial killer in the end was the guy writing the letters, because it's really hard to prove that. But there is a lot of connections with those murders. Having said that, I was looking up how many unsolved homicides have happened since 1980 in the United States alone. It's like 185,000 cases.
That's a lot. Yeah. Like there's tons.
If you're a cold-blooded murderer, you have no record, you have no fingerprints or DNA on record, and you just kill someone in cold blood and no one sees you and you don't really leave anything behind, it's like almost impossible to catch these people sometimes.
I don't know, man. I've seen the first 48.
Yeah. They didn't catch him in the first 48 and they're gone. It's gone. So if you go and you're a random dude, you're like, like your girlfriend broke up with you, and you're like, I hate girls now and I hate couples. So I'm going to go I hate these people. You just go find someone, you shoot them, you kill them. You're like, all right, that was easy. You go home. A few months later, you do it again and no one catches you. And then you see maybe there is some crazy, like, people who love serial killers, but they're fans. They're not actually killers themselves. They're like, oh, I got this great story. I can I'll just write it in. And then you see that and you're the killer and you're like, oh, this is perfect. Now I can just do it behind the guise of something I have nothing to do with. And then snowball, more people die, never solved, and it's never even been close, right? There's never even been like something like, oh, we really think it's this guy, but there's one technicality. No, it's like no one is even close to being convicted on the crime. So that's my views on the Zodiac killer from a guy who doesn't really love true crime, and after looking into it.
Braden looks like he has people under his fucking floorboards right now. As we
Yeah, Braden does look like Zodiac killer at the moment.
Off your face.
I think for me, I still think it was a dangerous game of the media hyping these killings and to sell papers. I think it was big paper. I think,
Papers.
I don't think all of these killings were all one person. I think, I'll attribute the first three to someone, and then the other ones, I don't even connect them to each other. So, but I think it was also being like the media was really pushing it to sell papers, and then it got out of hand, and then it turned into like Zell, like you said, like people would kill, and then an easy way to get an alibi and to muddy the waters was to say, "Oh, it's me, the Zodiac. I did it."
185,000 unsolved manslaughters or murders since 1980. Just saying.
Yeah, all Zodiac.
All Zodiac. Could be 185,000
All
killings.
Zodiac.
Hey,
Can't say
tell
it
me they
wasn't
weren't
the
Zodiac.
Yep.
Yeah.
Andrew, what do you think?
Well, I definitely think there was a Zodiac killer. I think there was multiple people, at least two.
Okay, Zodiac.
I think fucking Arthur Lee Allen was involved in it. For
Fucking
sure.
Allen.
100%.
But he looked like a fat slob with no
Yeah,
glasses.
so maybe he wasn't the one pulling the trigger.
Okay,
Maybe
fair.
they took turns. Maybe he's the one that wore the fucking outfit so they couldn't see his face.
Maybe.
You know what I mean? They also say that he disguised himself. He would disguise himself with makeup. Like he claimed that that's something he would do. You can fucking.
I don't think
I've seen
any
what those-
makeup will get rid of that chin.
I think, buddy, have you seen those girls doing those tutorials on fucking YouTube?
Oh, it's true.
They make a lot of shit disappear, dude.
Well, we didn't have Instagram, makeup tutorials back then.
Well, I'd imagine they could probably do some pretty cool shit, but I definitely think
Something happened.
I think Arthur Lee Allen was involved, and I think somebody did it with him. At least You know what? When it comes down to the Stein murder, I think that could have just been the fucking Zodiac taking fucking claim, like saying, "Yeah, that was me too," just to fucking make himself look more badass.
That could be it too.
Because he did. He had a ton of claims that he never followed through with, right? So, but I definitely think at least the first three, they fucking sound way too similar to me. The only thing different was the fucking weapons.
Murder weapon.
Yeah,
that's it. And he could have been a gun collector. Anybody can have fucking guns like that in America.
Dan, what do you think?
Like I said before, my general impressions, like if you read me these cases, you read these the 5 canonical cases of the Zodiac killer, and you left out, again, the third murder, the only thing that connects it is the guy writing on the door and the costume, and you left all that stuff out in the Stein murders, I'd be like, there's nothing that has to do with this. The first 2 were shot. The second one, the third one's like they were stabbed like multiple times.
To find
the fourth
a couple.
one seems like a crime of opportunity.
Yeah,
not anything. Like
the fourth one's the only one that doesn't line up.
But it's not an opportunity because he had the costume. Like he had to have had the costume.
Braden's talking about the fourth
third one.
The
fourth one.
The cabbie.
So the fourth. Yeah, the fifth one, him killing Stein, that feels like something that's really weird because it's like, again, the other crimes, like he was driving his own car, maybe not his own car, but he was driving a car. He wasn't taking a taxi anywhere. He wasn't going to pick anybody up. He was also in the middle of the city. But anyways, like, I'm on agreement with Braden where it's like perhaps this would, again, there was not a real the murders happened. Baby. Maybe the two first ones were connected, but the other 2, like it could have just been something where people were just picking up on that and just being like, again,
don't understand.
having a serial killer.
I don't get it.
I don't get it.
The only thing different is the weapon. What is different?
Having a serial killer on the loose is an alibi machine.
In the fucking
like, if you want to kill somebody,
with the knife,
you do it when
Zodiac.
in the midst of a serial killer panic. Like that would be.
So you're just saying that maybe 1 or 2 might have been, and then the third person was just a copycat. Is what you're saying? Because they are similar. Yeah, they are both couples. I would say the third killing has a very high chance of being a copycat or being somebody taking advantage of. But the first 2,
I would even say this. That let's say the first 2 and maybe the third one was he was trying out some things, putting on the costumes. The other 2 that are attributed, I wouldn't even be surprised if it was him just being like, I did these ones just to throw people off because I'm like, doesn't make it like those ones don't fit the bill for me. I'm like, other than like the letters, I'm like, why? To me, it would make more sense that he's just lying at that stage.
Which ones?
Making claims.
I'm confused. Which
ones? The taxi, the fourth and fifth killing.
The taxi one, I completely agree.
Taxi is the 4th attack.
But like, think about it though. Like, why would you going after couples? It would be difficult. Like, if you're just some rando looking to fucking kill somebody, why go after 2 people like that? Like that's fucking that. I don't understand. The only thing different about it is the fact that he fucking stabbed them and tied them up.
Nobody tied them up as well. That's also the
but
thing.
He didn't kill everyone.
That is different.
Or out by a fucking lake getting it on, as opposed to 2 people sitting in cars getting it on. Like it's.
But also the first 2 were taking credit, and that had been published. That was public knowledge that he had taken credit for those 2 murders of these similar looking murders, and then he had the third killing was like I'm gonna put the circle and the cross on there so you know it's me instead of just sending a letter in.
Extra 80 pounds,
and then he never referenced it in the letters.
Okay,
Zodiac still unsolved.
You know what?
Zodiac still unsolved.
Sometimes I feel like Dan just tries to disagree in the end just to keep us going on a circle of argument.
No, I'm in agreement with Dan. I will agree with Dan on this one.
That the third one doesn't line up.
It doesn't that great. No, I don't believe it does. I will say as a stretch, I will say it could be a fucking ramp up. But anyways, still unsolved. Zodiac.
Still, but I'm saying the first those 3 were all couples. Let's all agree on that. That's pretty similar. So it could have been
they were all couples.
Could have been a copycat. So you have to get deep into it. Like, well, how many couple murders?
The fact that it was a copycat shows you right there that it fucking fits in his MO.
Copycat, the same, different weapon. Anyways, we can go in circles in this forever. There's a reason this case is still unsolved.
Yeah, we need Mr. Conspiracy to come on and split.
Give us the cue cards.
I just don't understand how there's so many serial killers over the years. So I mean. It could be a serial killer, or as easily it could have not. That's pretty much how the argument ends. Like, okay, maybe it was, maybe it wasn't. Maybe it was a copycat, maybe it wasn't. and
Still unsolved.
Still unsolved.
Let's get into some space news. We got some quick space news.
let's do a little
Space news. I've only got one thing for space news today, but I love this headline on by Michelle Starr. It says, "We have planets, we have moons. Now hold on to your hats for planets."
planets.
Did you say Michelle Starr?
Yeah.
Like fucking local wrestling legend Michelle Starr?
I don't
pretend
think
like
so.
you don't
What?
remember that guy.
I don't
No.
know. I do not know who that
I don't
is.
think he said anything that said about Michelle Starr.
Yeah, the author of this was Michelle Starr. That guy's fucking famous around Kelowna.
I never
Big
heard of
deal.
this guy.
I'll fucking find a picture and show
Find a
you.
picture of Michelle
Famous,
Starr.
famous
But,
to Andrew.
So these are black hole planets, planets.
Planets.
They form from grains of dust swirling around black holes. So that's kind of cool. So fucking
funny.
Right.
planets, black hole
Supermassive
planets,
black
baby.
holes clocking in at 1 million solar masses.
Wait, so it's a tiny black hole?
No, it's a it's a supermassive black hole where it's supposing like you have a black hole, like the one that sits at the center of our galaxy,
Right.
essentially. And there's scientists are kind of starting to realize that like ecosystems kind of form around these supermassive black holes. So you have things like dust and, you know, the formings of a planet. And now they're forming, you can have planets that form not just around in the orbits of suns, but you also have planets that form around these giant black holes.
The orbits of black holes.
So it's called a planet.
A planet.
A
Yes.
planet.
I feel like that's the kind of planet you could buy from a dollar store from China. It's like a little fucking knockoff.
Yeah.
Yeah, you want the planet?
So it's
Same thing, just as good. Planet.
That's what I said, planet.
Number one good price on planet only today. You have it. Go.
Yeah, you want planet Earth? Yeah, no
Yes,
problem.
planet. Like I said, planet.
we got a few different nationality accents ripping through there. Multicultural salesman.
Yeah, that's right.
So instead of a sun forming planets around it, a black hole is forming planets. So you would never be able to see them because there's no sun shining on them. They would be invisible.
Well, there is light. Like there is light around. I think they've identified that like a light does form around some black holes. Like you do have.
But light cannot
Light,
escape a black hole.
Right. Well, the light that, you know, the suns are sucked into it, but it still takes a while for some of the things like the light, the energy from the black hole actually forms like light rings around it. I know I've seen some of those.
I always thought those
I've
are
seen
artist
some.
renderings of black holes, but you could be right. I have no idea. Either way, planet. We got planets, baby.
Other than that, no auroras.
No auroras.
No auroras.
The sun has been inactive
auroras.
into 2020. I got.
Sun's pretty boring.
Let's talk quickly about the NASA Perseverance rover, the newest rover that was launched from Cape Canaveral on July 30th. Attached to this rover, or on the payload of the rocket going to Mars, is not only a rover, which is going to look for like microbial life and other stuff, but also the first interplanetary chopper.
Get to the chopper.
The little drone
Get to the
helicopter. I think
chopper.
it's
Get
to
fucking
the
cool.
chopper.
The first airborne drone ever to operate out of Earth's atmosphere is going to Mars. It's a tiny little drone. It's something like 4 pounds, 4 feet long, with dual rotors spinning at 2,400 RPMs. Because I guess on Mars, it's only like 1% air density compared to Earth.
Yeah, the atmospheric pressure is going to be a lot different than it is on Earth. So I'm actually interested to see if it really, really works. Like, I'm sure like NASA does their math and they're like, this will work, but it's still going to be a pretty.
Well, yeah, it had to be.
Once they turn it on, they'd be like, yeah.
It had to
this
be
is fucking
really
cool.
small and really light with giant turbines
Right.
in order to just get even a little bit of lift. Like something like that.
Because there's no air. There's no
barely any
atmosphere.
air. So yeah, you need a higher ratio of rotor to weight and have to spin at higher RPM just to even get any type of lift. So we'll see how that works out.
It's going to be fucking cool.
It's supposed to land sometime in 2021 and the mission's going to be 1 Martian year. So it's like 681 days or something like that. But
Hells yeah.
Cool.
it's pretty cool.
I'm excited.
I mean, first one of its kind. So
We're going to find those Mars spices.
Yeah.
find something. Get us off this planet.
There you go.
Doesn't seem to be.
Where's Michelle?
Well, you know what? There's another theory. Like, if you spend all that money on bettering Earth, we could probably better Earth than spending all the money on space. But then that's not as fun, I guess. You know,
Yeah,
what's the argument there? I guess.
Yeah, this is just a planet, anyways.
It's only a blend.
That's it for space news. I was gonna do a randomatron, but it's getting late in the day.
We're gonna be cutting into almost a 2-hour case file here, so
Jesus.
we're gonna cut out the randomatron, even though it's fixed. This week there's just no randomatron. We did a deep dive into the Zodiac killer, so it's out. But
Argument.
a deep
Fuck, that stressed me out.
a deep argument that ended with still unsolved, as we as we all knew when starting this case file. It was still
It's the top shelf theorist versus the bottom shelf theorist.
Anyways, it's still fun. I still like going down the true crime route every once in a while. This week we're going to read some Patreons. So if you're supporting the show for $3 or more per month, we give you a quick shout out. And if you can check us out at patreon.com/Alien Theorists Podcast. And we got a whole bunch of good bonus goodies on there for you. With this week, we have Vanessa Cardenas, Kyle W., Jared Shover, Jackie Waple, Joanne, Stacia Wicks. My bad. Marco Camaro, Rory Shields, Devamon, Brian Robbins, and Big Mag. Thank you very much for supporting the show.
Nice.
Fantastic.
Oh, yeah.
All right, guys, and as we always say at the end of these things, keep those eyes on the skies.
Peace, everybody.
Take control of your growing company's finances with Bill Spend and Expense, the free-to-use spend management software powered by the Bill Divvy Corporate Card. With credit lines from $50,000 to $5 million, Bill Spend and Expense is here to help you thrive. Say goodbye to manual expense reports and juggling multiple cards, and say hello to saving time and eliminating wasteful spend. Try Bill Spend and Expense today at bill.com/promo500 and get $500. Terms and conditions apply. Advertised credit ranges are not guaranteed and are determined at approval. Card issued by Cross River Bank. Member FDIC.
The comfort of your favorite seat is now your comfy car selling command center, thanks to Carvana.
It doesn't get any better than this.
Your favorite seat's the best spot in the house. Make it even better by entering your license plate or VIN and getting a real offer in minutes.
There really is no place like home.
And speaking of home, Carvana will pick up your car from yours after you finalize your offer. Visit Carvana.com or download the app and sell your car from your comfy place.